Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you know, a lot of bad stuff about MrBeast has been brought up, like leaked Discord messages. So a lot of people have been talking about bad experiences working with MrBeast, and I've wanted that for a while, but I've never really cared until now because some big stuff have been brought up, and I'll bring that up later. So in case you didn't know, I actually worked for MrBeast for about 6 months, and it was probably the worst experience of my life. MrBeast seems like a really cool guy, and his videos are awesome. They're so awesome that 8-year-old Sweet Glue watches videos.
Okay, am I the only one that had no idea what that kid was saying? Oh, phew, okay. For a second there, I thought that bleach I had been drinking was starting to kick in, but no, apparently it wasn't the bleach. Apparently the kid's just retarded.
But behind the scenes, he's just awful. He's like just an abominable creation. He's like just an awful mixture of Chris Chan and Benito Mussolini.
This does not even deserve a captain's log introduction, because this is dead serious. The inside and outside tour I did a few months ago of my house, everyone here today, my mother and my father are angry at me!
So, mostly a staffer. I help behind the scenes mostly. I was in the Squid Game video and the Influencer Challenge, but mostly behind the scenes. I'll show a clip of, me and something.
I recreated every single set from Squid Game in real life, and whichever one of these 456 people survives the longest wins 456 grand.
But, then I got kicked out pretty quickly. It was pretty fun, except for when he yelled at me when I got the wrong brand of garbage bags for the Team C's video, and he whipped me. Or when I got him a macchiato instead of a frappuccino, and he whipped me. Or when I got him Wendy's instead of Burger King. Well, he didn't whip me then, but he actually got one of the medieval torture devices that stretch you out. And, he did that to me for about 30 minutes.
Hello, SpongeBob!
Uh-oh, it's Sandy.
But MrBeast was just a really weird character. His office had to be exactly 66.6 degrees, which is fitting. It couldn't even be a tenth of a degree off where he'd just go crazy mode on us. He yelled at everybody for like 33 minutes. Like, he timed it. Crazy guy. He was also really into Power Rangers. He just had everything in his office. Floor to ceiling of Power Rangers. He had Funko Pops, action figures, DVDs. He had a bookshelf of DVDs of all the Power Rangers episodes, the movies. He even had the porno the Red Ranger made, and I walked him in on him by watching it. Clothes on, he was watching it like an art film, just perfect posture, studying it. I almost threw up, it was disgusting. But he was even worse on set. He gave everybody a giant rule book and made sure we followed it to a T. Some were like normal, like don't molest the cameraman, don't hit on the contestants, no lethal force, normal stuff. But some were awful, like you couldn't wear lavender clothes, or just Carl would go crazy, go buck wild. He hated the color lavender. Like, you couldn't wear it, go crazy on you. He actually had a really awful rule. I can't even bring it up on YouTube. But other ex-beasters like myself have talked about it on other websites. Just look up MrBeast Rule 34 and you know what I'm talking about. I can forgive MrBeast for grooming all those minors on Discord, but I can't forgive him for being an awful boss. I've had a lot of bad bosses, but MrBeast is probably the second worst one I've had. The first person was the one that groomed me and destroyed my chances with a girl who was probably an awful match for me. But that's besides the point. I can also call it MrBeast for sacrificing babies to Ball or colluding with Putin to raise the price of the McChicken. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here to call it MrBeast for his bad bossmanship. One thing before I get off this tangent, MrBeast did say Jeffrey Epstein was quote unquote not a bad guy, whatever that means. Okay, back to the weird stuff. The Beast hated Big Mac sauce. Now, the reason Sneeko got kicked off of the MrBeast channel was not because of the reasons you think. It was because he actually snuck some Big Mac sauce into his, into his food.
Number 2, I have Sneeko, and if you've ever seen Sneeko's videos, you realize that they're kind of addicting. Once you start watching them, it's kind of hard to stop. But I don't know what it is about him. It's just, he's so straightforward with things, and he's not biased on anything. He'll let you know anything that's on his mind.
And MrBeast, he got so pissed, he threw rocks at his head and it almost knocked him out. That's actually the reason why Sneeko got his name. He would sneak stuff into people's food. Usually aquarium rocks or manure, but he made exceptions. But the MrBeast loved American cheese, which is already weird, but he would just eat a sandwich with just American cheese. Like, he stacked it like a Scooby-Doo sandwich, just a foot of just American cheese. But sometimes he would get interns, make them take all their clothes off, and then put American cheese all over their body, and he would just eat it. Yeah, he did it to me a couple times. It's pretty hot, actually. But Mr. Beast is probably like the biggest King Crimson fan, which is super based. But he was really like weird and elitist about it. Like I told him I was a prog fan. His response was, "I'm just a poser who likes Pink Floyd and Rush. I should be ashamed of it," which is true. I'm not a poser, and it really hurts. And I wish he never apologized. But when you listen to Casey, sorry, I meant King Crimson. I'm used to being around prog heads and I use the jargon a little too much. When he listened to King Crimson, he'd put himself in a sensory deprivation tank and listen to Discipline of Starless or whatever, for, like hours on end. But he was a crazy music elitist. One time he caught me listening to Van Halen and he got super pissed. Some of you might know, I used to be not a Van Halen fan, but they've grown on me. I'm a Sammy Hagar guy. I think David Lee Roth is cool. Sammy Hagar is better, though. Fight me. But no, I was listening to Van Halen, and Mr. Beast got so pissed that he decided to use me as an example. So the punishment he decided on was going to tie a rope around my neck and then tie the other end to an anvil, and I had to carry it around in order to go anywhere. But, he didn't go through with it. Chandler told him not to, but he was almost going to do it. But I understand if I was going to be listening to, like, Taylor Swift or, like, Nickelback and he'd do that. Like, that's reasonable. That is beyond reasonable. But Van Halen, that's just, what the heck, man? That's not cool. Look at this photograph! Mr. B says no chill. So you're probably wondering what the big thing I mentioned at the beginning was. And, now you're lucky, I'm going to say it. So, some of you know, the Taiwanese fentanyl incident is probably one of the worst paramilitary events in history. Oh, for those of you who don't know, the Taiwanese fentanyl incident happened about 3 years ago in Taiwan, and it was a paramilitary attack between the fentanyl dealers in Taiwan versus the 4chan Free State.
Do we even know who is this 4chan person or website?
He may, and I'm sure we're gonna be able to get some more confirmation on this as the
quick history lesson for those who don't know. So a bunch of 4chan guys actually decided to go to Taiwan and form an independent nation. It was going well for actually about 36 hours. After they formed a coherent government. They had a military and everything. But fun fact, actually the highest gender balance out of any country in the world, with 99 men to 1 woman. So, almost as low as my viewership ratio. But they needed more supplies because their whole country was filled with neats. So they started seizing like freight ships and stuff. And one of them was one of the fentanyl ships. This caused a giant blood feud between both groups. The battle lasted 5.5555 repeating months. And it was the 3rd most deadly paramilitary event in history. The only more deadly attacks were the Incel Uprising of 2017 and the Amish Revolution of 1999.
Out here in Amish, smoking big doinks in Amish.
So some of you are wondering why you haven't heard of it. Well, that's where Mr. Beast gets involved. He actually instigated both sides of the attack. So he actually instigated both sides of the war because it sounded like a great video idea. 4chaners versus, Taiwanese fentanyl dealers. But it went south real quick. But because it got really bad and really bloody, Mr. Beast decided to fund every single news organization in America and told them not to cover it. But it was actually a big deal in Eastern countries like, Azerbaijan or the United Arab Emirates. And to come clean, I actually did fight for the Taiwanese fentanyl dealers for a little bit. It was really lame. My best friend Bubba died. May he rest in peace. My Lieutenant Dan got his legs blown off after I tried to save him, and he got super pissed because of it. But after the war, I actually decided to work on a shrimp boat and became like a millionaire. I did it with Lieutenant Dan. But, not to get carried away, I actually did some other stuff too. I actually ran for like 3 years straight. It was awesome. Just sea to shining sea, just back and forth. It was actually really cool. I actually met Kennedy and Nixon too. And I actually got my childhood crush pregnant after rejecting me like 37 times. But, she settled after she got AIDS. And we have a kid now. That's basically it. See ya.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.